Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you like to hear someone talk about their pets, go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons down below because it's kind of what I'm here for. Today's video, I'm just gonna show you guys how I make my Tegu mash for my Tegu Keanu. He's an Argentine, black and white, and it's actually pretty simple. I've just got a bunch of ingredients out here in front of me. I'll try and hold them up so you guys can see them. I'm going to be adding a can of grasshoppers, a can of crickets, and then I grabbed, just to add a little something else to it, these silkworms to add in there. I also have some chicken hearts, some quail eggs. I've got 6 of them out here on the counter. I've got some wild caught salmon. I've got 2 pretty hefty fillets of that. And then I've got about ½ a pound of ground turkey. It's just out on the counter on my cutting board, so I'm not gonna try and hold that up for you guys right now. About 70 to 75% of his diet currently, because of his age, he's small, he's still growing, he's still, I think, considered a hatchling. It needs to be protein, and then the rest of it is going to be vegetables, and then a very minimal amount of that be fruit. So for this batch of Tegu mash, I have some rainbow chard, turnip greens, arugula, some yellow squash. I actually have some hibiscus petals and rose petals in here, not very many. I grow them in my yard for my other reptiles, so I figured I'd throw it in there. And then I've got just a few small chunks of watermelon. Normally I wouldn't use watermelon. I use like either blueberries or strawberries, but I had some watermelons, so I figured I'd throw that in there. Like I said, they're the seedless watermelons. I've got this is the biggest piece I've got in here. And I've only got 3 small pieces, so that should be fine. If once I get it all mixed up, I feel like it needs a little bit more, I have some large chicken eggs that I can throw in there. And then of course, because there's no bone really in this, and the only calcium would be from the quail egg or the chicken egg shells, I'm going to add supplements. So I'm going to add some calcium powder in there, some multivitamin, and then I personally like to add, it's very old school when it comes to like Tegu diets. Not everyone does this anymore, especially since I have salmon in there. It's not necessary, I guess, but cod liver oil. Keanu sheds so well, and I feel like the cod liver oil just really helps with that. You only want to use a teeny tiny amount of that, and I kind of eyeball it, but it's about 1/4 of a teaspoon for every pound of meat. So I probably have about 1.5 to 2 pounds of protein here. I'm probably still only going to use about 1/4 of a tablespoon or teaspoon of that. So basically, I'm just going to start putting it into, I've got a food processor over here. I'm going to kind of help break it down a little bit because I got a lot that I'm trying to fit into this food processor. It is a pretty good sized food processor though. Also, the salmon is without the skin. If you can get it with the skin, that's probably a little bit better. For some reason today at the store, I grabbed it without the skin. Some of that ground turkey meat. I hate touching raw meat. I really do. So I'm gonna start with that. And then I'm gonna throw some of this in there. I usually have to do it in a couple batches. It's a pretty good sized food processor, but it's not like a huge food processor. So I do it in a couple batches in the food processor. I put it all into a mixing bowl, but let me go ahead and start this up and I will be right back with you guys. Oh, maybe. Okay, so once I have that first little batch all mixed up, this is what it looks like. I have made several different versions of this. Obviously, I've had them for a few months now, so I've had to do this a couple of times. And just from my experience, I have found that the ground turkey meat, it's not always 100% necessary for their diet. However, when you're making the mash or the Tegu meatballs, it is kind of the secret to getting them to all hold together. So I typically do some type of organ meat, either chicken hearts or beef liver. I say that with a smirk because Beef liver is disgusting. If you guys didn't know, it's pretty nasty. I'd never touched liver before until I started making some Tegu mash, and I'm fine if I don't have to touch it. But the ground turkey meat really is what helps hold it all together. So now I'm adding the chicken hearts, the rest of the fruits and vegetables, the quail eggs, and I'm going to maybe open this, these bugs, and I'm going to put it in the food processor again. I really struggle with opening things sometimes, as you can see. This is when things start to stink. Those crickets, they don't smell good, but Keanu really goes crazy for the mashes that have the crickets and salmon in them. Those tend to be the ones that he prefers the most. So this go around, oh, they smell so bad. This go around, I'm making both of those in his mash. I also usually keep several different mashes made up all together because I like to have that variety. So he'll have this one, this particular mash I'm making today will be ready for him by tomorrow. And he's got 2 other versions still in the freezer. These silkworms are gross. I'd never bought these silkworms before. Kind of grossed me out a little bit there. Anyways, so I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like because it's crazy. Hold on. Here's the before of all that stuff in there. Oh, and here's the after. Now I'm gonna add this first batch that I did back into here since it's a little bit smaller of a portion so that I can get that all good and mixed in together. And then I'm gonna add the supplements, the cod oil, the calcium, and the multivitamin. Okay, so it is all completely mixed together, supplements and everything included. This is the perfect consistency. There's nothing stringy, there's nothing like that in here. What I mentioned earlier that I like to use chicken hearts. I go to the Asian market. That's where I buy the quail eggs and the chicken hearts. And when I go there, I can buy just chicken hearts without the chicken gizzards. Now, when he's older, it's not going to be a big deal. I can feed him chicken gizzards. But for now, because he's so young, chicken in general and chicken gizzards, especially, like any kind of thing like that with chicken, tends to be a little stringy and not mashed up very well. It's got a lot of, like, I don't know, I guess tendons or something to it. But those are the things you want to avoid when you are making Tegu mash for a baby like I have, because those can be a choking hazard. So what I'm doing now is I am filling these little silicone trays that I have with the mash. They're going to freeze overnight in my freezer, and then in the morning I'll pop them out and put them all into one container. This way I am not wasting a bunch of Ziploc bags doing individual preps and things like that for them. I'm just doing a little resealable, or reusable, not resealable, silicone container. And I will show you how I store them here in a second once I'm done filling all of these up. Because once they freeze, these just pop right out of them. It's super easy, and then I just stick these in the dishwasher because silicone's awesome like that and it's dishwasher friendly. And then I rinse them off and then put them up. But let me finish this up and then I'll show you guys how I actually store it in my freezer. Okay, so like I was saying is that I put them all into their little silicone trays, stuck them in the freezer. They're gonna sit there overnight, but I wanted to show you guys how I store them. So I also, like I said, I keep a variety of food options. There's 2 different mixtures in here, and basically once they're frozen, I just pop them out and I stack them in this. So this one's full. This is the one that I'm going to be feeding from primarily first. It's the one that I'm gonna stack on top. And then this one, I try and keep 2 of these at a time. If you're sensitive to frozen mice, you might want to like go ahead and click away or skip ahead or something, but there will be some frozen mice. I'm not pulling them out, they're just in the bin. But so in this bin, I do keep, because he does need live prey options, or whole prey, not live prey. I don't do live prey, but he does need whole prey options as well. He's actually eating currently a fuzzy mouse just fine. So I've got some fuzzy mice in there, and then this is the one that I'm gonna feed first out of there. The rest of it will all just pop out in here after it's been frozen overnight. And then it's just these 2 containers in my freezer. They don't take up a whole lot of space, and it's perfect. Anyways, this video is long enough, so that's it for that. I hope you guys learned something today, and comment below any suggestions of things that you might like to feed your Tegu that I'm missing out on or something. Give me some ideas of things that I can add to his diet. I'm always down for that. Y'all have a great one.